Nike had been late once, and they weren't going to make that mistake again. Caitlin Clark's rise through college basketball, marked by broken records and surging ratings, caught even the biggest sports brands off guard. But now, Nike is rewriting the playbook. At their headquarters, they orchestrated a hyper-curated event around Clark, transforming the visit into a market research lab, fashion show, and brand launch all in one. Custom gear, logo cookies, limited release jackets. Each detail carried her branding, designed to leave no doubt about her commercial power. After lagging behind during her Iowa run, Nike's now determined to own her narrative and her future. This wasn't just a flashy PR moment. It was a strategic chess move. Every personalized gift, every logo rollout was about one thing: positioning Clark as the face of women's sports moving forward. And with competitors like Adidas and Puma circling, the message was clear. Clark isn't just a basketball player. She's a brand capable of anchoring an entire market segment. By seizing the off-season spotlight and building a luxury-leaning image that resonates across demographics, Nike isn't just elevating one athlete. They're rewriting the value equation for female sports endorsements. So here's what happened.
If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe.
Nike gave Caitlin Clark the kind of reception usually reserved for the legends. And when I say legends, I mean capital L, statue outside the arena, signature sneaker, global superstar-level legends. We're talking Jordan, LeBron, and now, Caitlin. Yes, that's the level Nike just placed her on. This wasn't a meet and greet. It wasn't a brand meeting. It was a full-blown celebration of Caitlin Clark as a brand, a phenomenon, and, most importantly, a future icon. And the WNBA? Still reeling. Because this wasn't just a Nike moment. This was a power shift, and the shock waves are still being felt. When Clark walked into Nike HQ, she wasn't walking into just another event. She was walking into a curated tribute to herself. Nike didn't hold back. They decked out their corporate campus with exclusive merchandise, premium apparel, custom-branded gifts, mini basketballs, logo-decorated cookies, high-end pieces featuring her now signature from Anywhere branding. That's not athlete treatment. That's icon treatment. Nike turned the whole visit into a real-time marketing moment. Every detail had intention behind it. It was about more than welcoming her. It was about announcing her, declaring her value not just as a player, but as a business, a brand, a force. Let's be honest. Nike had some catching up to do. They were late. While Caitlin Clark was rewriting NCAA record books, boosting viewership numbers, selling out arenas in Iowa, and bringing the women's game to national prominence, Nike stayed unusually quiet. Sure, she had a deal, but there was no major rollout, no flagship campaign, no moment. Now, they're making up for lost time in a very big way. This event wasn't just Nike's endorsement of Caitlin Clark. It was a statement that they're investing everything into her future. She's no longer just an athlete on their roster. She's a centerpiece, a cornerstone of their strategy for women's sports. And the execution made it loud and clear. From the sleek, fashion-forward CC logo to the From Anywhere slogan that ties directly into her brand of fearless, deep-range shooting, Nike gave Clark the tools to go global. The logo? Already drawing comparisons to luxury labels. It's clean, it's modern, and it's ready to go beyond the hardwood. That kind of branding doesn't stop at jerseys and warm-ups. It moves into accessories, streetwear, lifestyle lines. This is Nike pushing Clark into a lane that few athletes, male or female, ever get access to. And they're doing it during the off-season. That's the other critical part. Most athletes fade into the background once the season ends. Visibility dips. Fans turn to other sports. Media attention dries up. But not here. Nike made sure Caitlin Clark stayed front and center. Headlines, socials, everywhere. They're making her unavoidable. Because this isn't just about a moment. It's about momentum. And what's brilliant is that it's not only symbolic, it's strategic. The event also served as a business operation. Nike used it as a real-time lab to test merchandise reactions, observe what fans gravitated toward, and collect feedback on future product directions. Translation? That signature shoe everyone's waiting for? This event just laid the groundwork. It's no secret. Caitlin Clark is headed for her own sneaker. And Nike's not just planning to release one. They're planning to make it a hit. This is how you do it. You build the hype. You test the waters. You use every touch point, from cookies to clothing, to gauge demand. Because when the drop happens, they want it to be massive. And based on what we've seen, it will be. But the broader significance can't be ignored. This wasn't just about Clark. This was about what her rise means for the entire ecosystem of women's sports. For too long, female athletes have had to fight for scraps in the endorsement world. No matter how dominant they were on the court, on the field, or in the pool, they were undermarketed, underpaid, and consistently underexposed. Brands like the idea of supporting women, but the actual execution? Weak, short-lived, safe. Clark's Nike moment just blew all of that wide open. Because now there's proof. When a brand does go all in on a female athlete, when they use their full resources, their best creative, their top-level production, it pays off. Fans respond. Merch moves. Engagement spikes. Clark isn't an exception. She's evidence. And that evidence is going to change how other companies move. Adidas, Puma, everyone else, they're watching closely. Because Nike's message to them was crystal clear. We got here first. She's ours. That's what the extravagant treatment was about. It wasn't just to show Clark she's valued. It was to tell everyone else they're too late. And it's not just about endorsement money. It's about cultural power. When Nike treats someone this way, it changes how the public sees them. Clark is now more than a standout rookie or a college legend. She's on track to be the defining figure in women's basketball for the next decade. The face of a movement. The one everyone's watching. And Nike wants to make sure their logo is stitched right next to hers every step of the way. This kind of branding elevation, it hasn't happened at this level for a woman in basketball. Not like this. Not with this level of precision, luxury, and global ambition. The message is also for the WNBA, that it's time to start giving players the kind of off-court branding support they've always deserved. That stars like Clark aren't niche, they're mainstream. That women's sports have always had value. But now, finally, the business world is catching up. And let's not overlook the Team USA angle. The timing of this event, right after Team USA tryouts and the WNBA season, wasn't random. Keeping Clark visible now puts pressure on media and Olympic decision-makers to keep her in the spotlight as Team USA rosters take shape. Nike's not just selling shoes, they're influencing the narrative. Clark's not campaigning for attention. Her presence speaks for itself. But Nike knows the power of keeping her at the center of the conversation. And they're not letting it slip. That's how legacy gets built. Clark's humility, work ethic, and authenticity only fuel the fire. She's the perfect storm of talent and relatability. She has the resume, but also the personality that fans connect with. That combination is rare, and brands live for it. It's why she's not just being branded as a basketball star. She's being set up as a cultural figure. The kind who shows up in highlight reels and fashion blogs. The kind who sells out arenas and apparel lines. The kind who makes you pay attention, whether you care about basketball or not. That's the level Nike is building toward. And they're not doing it quietly. Because this wasn't about catching up to the hype. It was about controlling it. Nike didn't just acknowledge Caitlin Clark. They anointed her. And the WNBA, the sports world, and the business world, they're all watching what happens next. So where do you stand on all this? Is Nike finally setting the standard for how women athletes should be treated? Is this the moment we stop hearing excuses about why women don't get the same investment? Are we watching the start of something bigger than just one player? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's hear what you think. Hit that like button if you're here for the rise of women's sports. Share this with someone still stuck thinking female athletes don't have market power. And subscribe if you want to keep unpacking the chaos, drama, and power plays shaping pop culture and sports right now. Because if this is just the beginning of Caitlin Clark's branding empire, the game's already changed. Caitlin Clark didn't just walk in Nike headquarters. She took it over. And everyone watching, they weren't just witnessing a brand partnership. They were watching a new chapter of women's sports being written in real time. Let's be clear, this wasn't about a shoe deal. This wasn't about a marketing campaign. This was a declaration. Nike made a statement. Loud, expensive, and impossible to ignore. Caitlin Clark is the moment, and they are betting their future on her. They didn't ease into it. They went full throttle. You don't commission exclusive merchandise, custom apparel, personalized gifts, and branded decor, cookies, basketballs, the whole 9 yards, unless you're saying, this is our star. You don't shut down headquarters unless you're making a point that echoes beyond sports and into culture. And that point is this. Caitlin Clark isn't just part of the brand. She is the brand. It's not hard to see why. She's the most electrifying player to come out of college basketball in years. She has the numbers, the records, the fans, the viral moments. She brought eyes to women's basketball that hadn't been there before and kept them watching. TV ratings soared. Ticket sales surged. The energy shifted. And for a while, the endorsements didn't match the impact. Nike had her signed, sure, but where was the rollout? Where was the full-blown marketing blitz? People were asking questions. Now we have the answer. Nike didn't just catch up. They overcorrected in the best way possible. They threw the kind of event you usually only see for athletes with long-standing dominance or a championship resume. But they know the stakes. They know the window. And they're making up for lost time by going all in. They're not just branding her as an elite athlete. They're branding her as a luxury. The CC logo isn't rugged or aggressive. It's minimalist, elegant, timeless. Think less gym bag, more designer handbag. It's not just about where she plays. It's about how she moves, how she presents herself, and how people see her. And that's intentional. Nike is positioning Clark beyond the court. They're not limiting her to highlight reels or stat sheets. They're building a platform where she exists as a fashion icon, a cultural figure, and a marketing powerhouse. They're doing what brands should have been doing with women athletes years ago. Because let's be honest, this kind of marketing polish, this level of aesthetic detail, this kind of production value, it's not new. It's just rarely applied to women. And Clark's event set a new bar. Not just for Nike, for everyone. They didn't just want to make her feel special. They wanted everyone else to see her as untouchable, unique, elevated. And that's the genius. Because perception is power. If you can shift how people see an athlete, you shift how they're treated, paid, and marketed. And this wasn't just about shifting perception. It was about locking it in, especially with rivals circling. Adidas is watching. Puma's paying attention. All of them want a piece of the rising women's basketball market, and Nike knows it. This wasn't just a celebration. It was a warning. She's ours. Don't even try it. It's also a strategic move to secure long-term loyalty. Because Caitlin's not just a short-term bet. She's a generational talent. The kind you don't let slip away. Nike's making sure she doesn't even think about other offers when her current deal comes up for renewal. And they're not just doing it with money. They're doing it with vision. They're making her feel like the face of something bigger. Something that goes beyond basketball. A movement. A legacy. And it's working. But Nike didn't just throw a party for fun. This event was a test lab. They were watching how people responded, what fans posted, what content went viral, what pieces sparked conversation. They weren't just handing out merch. They were collecting data, every branded gift, every from anywhere cookie, every exclusive clothing item. It was all part of a live focus group designed to shape future product drops, especially her signature shoe. Because let's be real, that shoe is coming. Nike's not throwing this kind of weight behind Clark without a sneaker on the horizon. They're just laying the groundwork now, building anticipation, and watching which angles stick. They've seen how this plays out with male athletes. Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, Kyrie. And now they're applying that same energy to Caitlin. And that's the game changer. Because it sends a clear message. Women athletes aren't side projects. They're not token campaigns. They're brand builders. Caitlin Clark's signature shoe won't just be another product. It'll be a test of the market's evolution. A statement of belief that a woman's shoe can dominate retail, drive hype, move units. And frankly, it's long overdue. For decades, we've heard the same excuses. Women's sports don't sell. women's sneakers don't move, there's no market for high-profile female athlete endorsements. All of that, Clark just blew it up. Nike confirmed it by going all in. And now, the rest of the industry has no excuse. Because the truth is, the fans are ready. They've been ready. They just needed the brands to catch up. And now they are. That's why this moment matters so much. It's not just about one athlete's spotlight. It's about shifting the entire system, proving that women deserve more than endorsement crumbs, that they can and will drive culture when given the same backing the men have always received. Caitlin Clark didn't ask to be the face of this shift, but she's owning it anyway, because she earned it, with her shooting, with her leadership, with her ability to make millions tune in for women's basketball in ways we've never seen. She's the rare kind of player who pulls everyone in, casual fans, diehards, critics, and new believers. And now, thanks to Nike, she has a platform big enough to match the moment. The beauty of it all? She's just getting started. This isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning, the test launch, the foundation. And what comes next, Clark's shoe, her next season, her potential Olympic debut, will only build on this. Because once you start marketing women like icons, you can't go back. So if you've been waiting for the tipping point, this is it. Brands will either meet the moment or fall behind. And the ones who don't see the value now, they'll regret it later. Caitlin Clark just redefined what it means to be a women's basketball star. And Nike just set the new standard for how that looks. Let's talk about the ripple effect. Because this whole thing, it doesn't just end at the gates of Nike HQ. When Nike treats Caitlin Clark like the second coming of Jordan, every other player, brand, agent, and executive is forced to pay attention. This isn't a good for her moment. It's a this changes everything moment. For decades, women's basketball stars have had to grind twice as hard for half the spotlight. They've carried teams, broken records, and built loyal fan bases, all while brands shrugged, media coverage stayed minimal, and endorsement deals barely scratched the surface of what male athletes were being handed. Then Caitlin Clark happened. She didn't just win games. She changed the scale. The numbers didn't lie. Ratings for her games spiked. Merch sales soared. Arena seats sold out weeks in advance. And a narrative that women's sports don't sell, it collapsed under the weight of her stats. Nike's finally acting like they believe it. And that's the shift. Because this wasn't just them making up for lost time. This was them making a long-term bet. And not a quiet one. They turned the entire company into a billboard for Caitlin Clark. They gave her the kind of moment that makes everyone else feel like they've been doing the bare minimum. And now, the pressure is on. If you're another brand, how do you compete with that? You can't half-step anymore. The whole "we support women's sports" line doesn't work unless there's real money, real attention, and real strategy behind it. Nike just set the bar. If you're not building an actual campaign, if you're not elevating athletes to the level of culture makers, then you're late. Period. Adidas, Puma, Under Armour, they all saw what happened at Nike HQ. They saw the custom CC branding, the exclusive merch, the personal touches, the from anywhere message plastered across an entire campus like it was a global tour stop. That's not sponsorship. That's iconography. And now it's the new standard. Let's not overlook how deliberate this was. Nike didn't just throw money at Clark and hope something sticks. They crafted an entire identity. They gave her a narrative. They gave fans something to rally around. That "from anywhere" tagline, it's more than a cute nod to her deep threes. It's a global branding tool. Anyone, anywhere can understand it. It's confidence. It's range. It's reach. You don't need to follow college stats or know her WNBA draft number to get the vibe. You just feel it. That's smart marketing. And it's scalable. Nike can use that slogan on international merch, digital campaigns, ads, and more. It translates across borders, just like Caitlin's appeal. This was never just about Clark. It was always about what she represents. She's the proof of concept that if you give a woman athlete the platform, the tools, and the respect, she'll not only deliver, she'll dominate. Nike's showcasing that now, and you better believe other companies are scrambling to catch up. But while brands are sweating, the real winner's here. The athlete's coming up behind her. Because now there's a precedent. A real one. No more excuses. No more, "well, the market's not there yet." The market is here. The market has been here. It just needed someone like Clark to break through the glass ceiling with a logo and a jumper from 30 feet out. And Nike needed to act like they saw it. Now they have. Loudly. There's another layer to all this, the business strategy. This wasn't just a flex. It was a research operation. Nike was collecting data the whole time. They watched what fans gravitated toward, which items got shared, what people posted. They'll use every single detail to tweak future launches, especially for her upcoming signature shoe. That shoe isn't just a formality. It's going to be a case study. Because if Clark's sneaker hits the way Nike wants it to, it doesn't just boost her. It resets the entire conversation around women's footwear. It kills the idea that signature shoes for women athletes are niche or low-risk ventures. It makes them essential. And if that happens, other women in the league, the ones already dominating, already with huge fan bases, finally get the marketing energy they've always deserved. Clark didn't just kick open the door. She's holding it open behind her. All of this, every headline, every branded moment, every post, adds fuel to that fire. And it's not just hype. There's real purpose behind it. Because this entire rollout also challenges media and fans to rethink what gets celebrated. For too long, women have had to settle for grit and humility being their brand. But Clark? She's changing that tone. Yes, she's humble. Yes, she puts in the work. But Nike isn't playing the hard-working underdog narrative. They're giving her the superstar glow, the same kind they've always reserved for male athletes who dominate their field. And honestly, it's about time. There's no more pretending that giving women athletes proper marketing is some kind of risk. Caitlin Clark is proof that it's the smartest play in the book, that the fans are ready, that the money is there, that the energy is different now. The WNBA's watching. Every brand's watching. And most importantly, every young athlete is watching. What they're seeing is a moment that doesn't come with disclaimers or limits. They're seeing a world where a woman's logo can mean just as much as a man's, where her brand can stand shoulder to shoulder with the greats, not just for what she does on the court, but for what she represents off of it. Caitlin Clark walked into Nike HQ as the most hyped athlete in women's basketball. She walked out as a symbol of what happens when belief and investment actually match the talent. That's the shift, and it's just getting started. So where do you stand? Do you think this is a one-off or the beginning of a new era in sports marketing? Are we finally watching brands recognize what women's sports have always brought to the table? Or are you waiting to see if others will follow Nike's lead? Drop your take in the comments. Let's get into it. Hit that like button if you're here for athletes getting the respect they've earned. Share this if you know someone still pretending women's sports are a sideshow. And subscribe if you want more drama, more game-changing moments, and more breakdowns of when the culture really shifts. Because Caitlin Clark just turned a Nike campus into her own personal launch pad. And the game? It may never look the same again.